a painting known as The Happy Hazards of the Swing, or more commonly and popularly as just The Swing. This was created by a man known as Jean-Honoré Fragonard in the 1770s, and this is most likely like the face of the Rococo era, but you've probably never heard of it. So let me talk about it. The Rococo period was a period in late 18th century France that revolved around free themes and the aristocracy specifically. Now, on the contrary, this is a piece created in the early 2000s by a man known as Banksy, who's an anonymous artist. This is called Love's in the Air, or more commonly as The Flower Thrower. Now, this may seem strange to talk about. Two completely different paintings, different times, different styles, but they're more common. They have more in common than you would believe. In both the Rococo period and in contemporary art periods, art inherently is shaped by political context. Rococo rose as a rebellion against the previously stated Baroque period, whereas contemporary art serves as like a political commentary and is a catalyst for political activism. So firstly, it's important to know the details of each time period, starting with Rococo. Before the era of Rococo was the Baroque period, which stemmed from the word barocco, which means a regular pearl or stone. Baroque existed primarily between the 17th and 18th centuries, and it originated in Rome, Italy. Baroque thrived in France specifically under the ruling of this guy, the Sun King, or Louis XIV. And he was an absolutist monarch that used propaganda art to keep his power. According to the Flammable Account team and their 2025 lesson review, the transition from Baroque to Rococo, published on the Flammable website, monumental scale and grandeur in Baroque conveys power and authority, often in religious or political contexts. Baroque was heavy in religious themes and very dark shadows and contrasts. This was used primarily for guys like this to keep their power in a way that people were scared of him in the way that he was portrayed. Now, as a result of this, came Rococo, or it stems from Raquel, which means pebble. He dies, right? And then his son, Louis XV, you may see a few of the names here, takes over. And with this comes a less iron fist ruling and more freedom with the people. According to the website Invaluable, in their 2018 article, Baroque versus Rococo, Similarities and Differences Explained, published on their website, Rococo emerged during the Enlightenment and emphasizes goals of knowledge, freedom, and happiness. This emphasizes the fact that you go from something like this with the dark colors and the contrasts to something that's lighter. This man just seems happier because of the way that he's portrayed. And now, going back to that first painting I showed you, The Happy Hazards of the Swing, as I previously stated, this was created during the late Rococo period, specifically 1770s. So this is like the height of it. This is the height of Rococo. And this was themed specifically around an aristocrat, her husband and her lover, or secret lover, let me correct you. Now, you may ask how this has anything to do with politics and art today. Contemporary art started in the 1930s to 40s with art such as this piece called Festival, and it was created as a result of like the World War II and the Great Depression. Like this was created during the Great Depression, actually. And then eventually in the 60s and 70s, you got pop art like this piece from Andy Warhol. And then later on, pieces like this, which may not seem like art, but it kind of is still. It's conceptual art created by Joseph Koseff. Now, art has been more diverse than ever since the 1990s or so. You know, you look on the internet, you look today, and you see that art is everywhere. There's different mediums, there's different styles. They all exist together. But art today still serves as one of the most important channels of communication, specifically with protest art, like this piece, which was a mural created by a group of artists in 2020 as a result of George Floyd's death. According to Erin Ogden, in her 2026 article, Art as Activism, How Protest Art Challenges the Status Quo, published on the My Art Broker website, protest art continues to evolve today as artists use their work to challenge issues such as climate change, inequality, and social injustice. As human rights movements continue into today, we see pieces like this pop up, and they can be used politically just as they have been during the Rococo period. Art today is also used to create deeper thinking about political and societal issues. According to Andrew Bay in his 2023 article, The Role of Politics in Contemporary Art, published on the Composition Gallery website, in their quest to communicate meaningful political information, artists have been using the whole spectrum of contemporary media to revitalize conversations and participation around compelling questions, to foster a deeper meaning and engagement with the political landscape. Art today isn't only used to criticize political issues, but is used to create a deeper meaning about the world around us. Now, going back to the second piece I had showed you today, Love is in the Air, this channels that specifically. And this may not seem like too much when you look at it, it's just a painting on a wall, but this was actually created as a response to peaceful protesting and how important it is to let your actions be over words and the way that nonviolent protests still work in today. So, to wrap this up, Rococo art and contemporary art are similar in the way that they are both influenced by politics, and they are the direct result of political changes and crises. We went over the history of Rococo, its political history, and how it was shaped by its predecessor, Baroque, and how contemporary art developed after World War II, like political crises, and continues to develop in response to politics today. It's important to know the political importance of art and how the two concepts are directly related to one another. Not only is this important for the sake of understanding the debatably boring art history, but it's important so that we all can understand the world around us and how it's being shaped with everything that happens. Thank you.